What's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and this evening I have for you all my Dragonflight leveling guide slash overview video. Now, for those that aren't warlocks, there is a warlock under theme for this video. We'll be looking at talents and things like that, but at the same time, there's a section down below which covers like good items, trinkets, things you can get to make leveling faster, and all that. There'll be timestamps as well, so you can skip right to it if you're not a warlock. But yeah, that is going to be the video tonight. Now, Dragonflight leveling has been pretty fast. It's probably the fastest leveling we've ever seen over the course of any beta. I believe the fastest speed run now is about 3.5 hours, but I expect the average player or someone who's going at a regular kind of pace to take about 5, 6, maybe even 7-ish hours. And honestly, once you hit max level, there's not a huge rush to do a million things, so you can take it at your own pace. But if you want to optimize things, look for some cool items to have around, or just have some, better talent builds if you're a warlock, this is the video for you. Now, a couple things before we get too far in the video. Number one, the big thing, people keep asking, can you get my weak auras or my add-ons or my profiles or whatever? They are all indeed available to you guys for free on my Twitch and in my Discord. There's links to both down below. !WA in the Discord or in my Twitch chat will pull up the link to both my Pastebin and my Wago, where you can get them all for free. And number two, I want to give one huge shout out to my patrons. Guys, thank you for all supporting Patreon a million times. It allows me to continue doing what I'm doing for you guys, making content, and yeah, I really, really appreciate it. If you guys are looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here as well as down below in the video description. So, with that being said, let's jump into the video, starting off with general Warlock class tree talents, and then get into each spec, and then some useful items and things like that. Okay, so getting into the spec tree here, this is a general tree for basically every spec. If you are playing Affliction, I will say there might be some more value in grabbing Grim Feast here compared to not. It's important to note that you do indeed gain 5 more points in your class tree and 5 more in your spec tree over the course of leveling. I believe the first point at 61 goes into Affliction, but either way, you can choose more throughput, more DPS, the further you go into leveling, and there's that. So the first points here: Fel Domination, faster pet summons, very easy. Baseline Demonic Circle, Burning Rush, and 2 points in Fiendish Stride. So Fiendish Stride with Burning Rush gives you essentially permanent Burning Rush. You really don't take very much damage at all from Burning Rush. If you're in a group with a healer, they can heal you. You can leave it on for honestly the entire course of leveling. To a similar extent, Soul Link healing, or sorry, Fel Synergy healing, I'm sorry, Mortal Coil, other healing effects that you have as a Warlock, Drain Life in general can just top you off, Hellstones, Health Pots, whatever. Fiendish Stride with Burning Rush is a no-brainer. It's very, very fast leveling. You're zooming the entire time. 2 points in Fel Armor, 2 points in Demon Skin, just more throughput, or more survivability, I should say. Going into 1 point in Curse of Enfeeblement, and 1 point in Mortal Coil here. Just a short cooldown, incapability, good self-healing, all that. And both Coil and Curses unlock these rows here, which is very important. So, Demonic Embrace, 10% more stamina. Demonic Fortitude, 5% more stamina, both to you and your pets, so 15% more raw health, very good. Both Wrathful Minion and Demonic Inspiration, just pet damage. Filling a shard gives your pet 5% more damage, I think. Yeah, basically. And 5% more damage, I think, here too. So more damage, pets, it's good. Typically, early levels, even like mid levels, you're just leveling, running around, dotting things. Your pets are cleaving them down. So good, solid, strong effects here. Going into Demonic Gateway here, which can be useful at times in leveling. It's important to note that Dragon Riding is acquired very early on. You get it like half an hour into the first zone. So Gateways aren't going to be as useful as before. If you wanted to go into like Nightmare, I guess you could theoretically, but then like, you can still take the same route into Shadow Fury and Dark Accord here from coming out of this node. Up to you. I think it's fine. I didn't grab Banish or anything else here. If you want some utility up here in Banish, you can grab it, but I grabbed Gateway. Sweet Souls, 10% more healing to you. If you are leveling in a party or anything like that, whenever somebody pops a Hellstone, well, it'll heal you as well. So very, very strong effect. Good to have around. Dark Pact, thanks to Frequent Donor, is a 45-second cooldown on a very large shield. This, coupled with Unending Resolve and the cooldown on Unending Resolve via Dark Accord, gives you a tremendous amount of cooldown-based survivability. Both Dark Pact, Dark Accord, Frequent Donor gives you a crazy amount. You probably can't die with these both pop at the same time when you're leveling. Shadow Fury, just baseline stun, 1 minute cooldown. It's been around for a long time. Good for leveling, mass AoE, all that. 2 points in Accrue Vitality. Drain Life Healing. Big once again, also due to Fiendish Stride, topping yourself off if need be. Very good to have around. You could go through Lifeblood if you wanted, but honestly, I think this is just much more relevant in leveling kind of setting, whether you're playing Aff or not. 1 point in Soul Link here, so 10% of the damage you take is taken by your demon instead. If you're playing stack, you get more stamina. We're not playing stack for leveling, so it's fine. Just more damage onto your pet, more survivability for you, the player. Fel Synergy. Soul Leech also heals you for 25% and your pet for 50% of the absorption it grants. So once again, Fel Synergy, Fiendish Stride, Burning Rush, we're staying alive forever here. You can see the Warlock tree is all defensives for the most part, and just survivability. Very, very strong for leveling, all that. And 2 final points here in synergy. Now, there are some nodes here, like Soul Conduit, more damage. Soul Burn. We also have Profane Bargain here that could be good for leveling. They are. Grim Reach, for example, or Grim Feast, I'm sorry, for like ID Affliction leveling, right? Could all be solid options. We don't have those points yet. So when you're leveling, your next options could be Soul Conduit if you want more damage, Profane Bargain if you want more just raw survivability once again, going into like Grim Feast. It's sort of up to you, but this was the general structure and backbone I'm starting with for Warlock leveling, basically across any spec in the class tree. So if you're looking to play Affliction Warlock for leveling, which I am most likely going to do, I think Aff's probably just the best spec for leveling in Dragonflight. It's very sustainable with ID and Soul Flame. You can just run around dotting things and basically just ignore the mobs. They die on their own. This is the build I ended up starting off with. So Rapture, obviously. Sow the Seeds, or Seed of Corruption. Sow the Seeds for mass AoE if need be. Multiple Corruption applications if you just cast Seed with Sow. Unstable Affliction, 1 point in Nightfall, then 1 point in Savian Teachings, obviously, 2 points of Wrath and Agony, for sure Absolute Corruption, and Bile Taint here. Once again, Bile Taint applies Agony to every mob that it hits, plus Curse of Exhaustion, so to a similar extent, we're playing Sacrilege here for the slow if need be. It's surprisingly more relevant than it may seem in mass kiting. You pull a huge pack, just Bile Taint it, this takes over, slows it for a while, and the pack dies while it's chasing you. You're moving on. Now, we are playing Harvester of Souls here at rank 2 out of 2. This is a passive trait. It doesn't do much damage, but it still heals you, and it is passive damage whenever Corruption deals damage. So this also works very well with Fiendish Stride, with ID, with Grim Feast, with Accrue Vitality. All the healing we have, Harvester helps hold that together as well. 1 point in Nightfall, Drain Soul, obviously. 2 points in ID. This is big healing with Grim Feast whenever you get it. I guess fast healing. Big healing with Accrue Vitality. Just self-sustain, all the above. 2 points in Soul Flame. A mob dies, AoEs. We've seen Soul Flame in pre-patch. Huge AoE if multiple mobs die at the same time. It's passive cleave damage as well. We have 1 point here in Soul Tap, which realistically, it's okay. I wouldn't mind having it somewhere else, but I need this to unlock Creeping Death, because once again, more dot damage passively. When the mobs are chasing you, they're ticking faster, they're hitting harder, they're slowing, all the above. You can see how this build goes. It's just slow, just put up dots, run, drain stuff, all passive dot damage, they die, they explode, and you keep moving on with life. Very strong. I have 2 points here in Withering Bolt. Now, theoretically, you could move this to like Pandemic Invocation if you want, or something else up here, because we're not really playing Haunt or Dark Lair at 60. Yet. I'm going 1 point into Soul Rot and 1 point into Wrath of Consumption to a similar extent. Wrath of Consumption lasts half a minute. If you're chaining mobs dying again, your dots just all tick harder with Wrath of Consumption rolling. You're playing Soul Rot, even though you don't have Soul Eater's Gluttony or Dark Harvest, you're playing this for the huge forked IDs on packs where you can drain them all down with a max stack ID. Once again, getting Grim Feast later on, Accrue Vitality, you just simply can't die. Affliction is literally just put up dots, run around, mobs chase you, they can't reach you, they die, you loot, if you even care about looting, which you should, and you move on with life. It's very, very strong. Once you get your other points coming in, I probably put a point probably in like, it depends sort of, I probably go like either Dark Glare coming through, this opening them up, or you can just go, 1, 2, 3 and get Dark Harvest at 66, I believe, 68 maybe. And the last point in Dark Lair somewhere around there. Up to you. For the most part, I don't think these are really worth it. Malefic Afflictions and this leveling. Certainly not this for leveling. Filling out this row and or Dark Lair, something like that. I wouldn't fault you if you want to just go say, hey, no Grim Reach Soul Rot stuff, or no Soul Rot ID stuff. You went in the Dark Lair for like Grim Reach, but I think this build's much better suited for just pulling mobs, dotting, running around. They die fast, and you keep going on and killing more stuff. So Aff's my choice for leveling. Chances are exceptionally high I'll play it for leveling, and this is the build. Link down below to the actual talent build as well. Now, if you're looking to level as Demonology in Dragonflight, this is the build where I'd probably start off. Now, I will say off the bat, there are a handful of choices you can make that I have not made here. Great examples are Demonic Calling, Fell Might, I'm sorry, Tyrant Empowerments early on. You can grab Inner Demons if you want, but this is where I've started, I guess, just off the bat. Now, so obviously Demon Bolt, Demonic Knowledge, Implosion, you certainly want for leveling, stacked AoE, Cleave, all the above. Shadow's Bite, giving you Dread Calling. This is sort of a tax you got to pay to get this ability. This ability is very good with dogs AoEing via Dreadlash, Carnivorous Stalkers, FTS, and all in your third dog here as well. It's worth grabbing and paying the tax here, which leads into 2 points in Imp Gang Boss. Bigger imps, you can implode them, get more imps back. it's a chain of just imp gang implosions at times. Demonic Strength here, I would not fault somebody for going into Biosword Bombers if you want it for leveling. I think early on, mobs are just going to die really quickly anyways. Maybe just Bombers earlier, Strength later. It's up to you. I'm just going to Strength the whole time. Not a big deal regardless. I grabbed Soul Strike here. Now, you could very well pull this point and just toss it over here into Fellmite. They're both probably a wash, honestly. Up to you. Fellmite, just more Fell Storms. Soul Strike is empowered by Antorin, which, you know, more Felguard damage, obviously. Up to you. Doesn't really matter either way. Anilian Training here, more Felguard damage. Fel and Steel, more Fellstorm damage. Armaments, more Felguard damage. Infernal Command, more Imps and Dreadstalker damage. And 1 point here in Guillotine for like just mass AoE if you want every 45-ish seconds. And I have 1 point rounding it out. I guess 1 in Demonic Meteor, 1 in Fel Sunder, and then 1 point rounding it out here in Summon Demonic Tyrant. Now, I have not chosen Soulbound Tyrant or Grand Warlock's design because honestly, early on, things are going to die really fast, where you're trying a Tyrant and the pack is just dead. It's not really worth it. Later on, maybe it's worthwhile, but honestly, Demonology's damage is strong leveling. Your pets just destroy everything. They're cleaving everything down, and you're running along pulling the next pack. And Tyrant setup, while you're going to Tyrant, most likely, I mean, at certain points, it's not incredibly impactful. The extension is nice to carry pets to the next pack and the next pack, but the actual Tyrant empowerments, not too concerned with early on, maybe even just in general, sort of up to you. Now, you could pull points in this and just say, hey, I don't want Guillotine, I don't want this, just go like this and empower it. That's fine, and throw points in here later on. To a similar extent, you can just say, take 2 points at Hounds of War. You can put points in Demonic Calling. I put 0, but up to you. The big thing with Demo, big just ball of passive pet cleave chasing you around while you're killing stuff, and I think this is probably the build to start with. So if I was going to play Demo, this is where I'd start. Link to the build down below in the video description. Now, if you want to level as Destruction Warlock and Dragonflight, this is the build that I have sort of settled on. There are so many different ways to build a leveling spec for Destruction. You can opt to go the Fire and Brimstone route, which I don't really recommend. You can go more through here for like your old 2-piece, 4-piece, Ritual of Ruin and Avatar Destruction. You can even go into like Diabolic Embers, but I think this build is probably the most rounded and just best for generic leveling. So, Chaos Bolt, Rain of Fire, Pyrogenics, and the Cataclysm, obviously. Conflict Rate, off the bat. Havoc, Cry Havoc, which gives a lot of, like, stacked Chaos Bolt cleave if you're cleaving a bunch in, like, stacked AoE by a Chaos Bolt, which is pretty good. Backdraft here, obviously, going into Channel Demon Fire and Raging Demon Fire, and which leads into Flashpoint here. Now, we're playing Raging. It's obviously good. It's more AoE damage, plus Immolate Extension, which can be sort of relevant in certain points. Early on, things are going to die really fast, but you also get Flashpoint unlocked here, so very solid. 1 point in Explosive Potential, just shorter conflict rate, cooldown, no-brainer. Now, we have the option of Roaring Blaze, or what's this called? Improved Conflict Rate here. Basically, a third conflict rate. More often than not, in most scenarios, I've opted for Roaring Blaze. It's just better all around, more fire damage, and like, you know, permanent cleave or permanent single target, but it's not permanent, you know, cleave settings. This is not a single target setting. It's just like you're pulling mobs and killing them fast and moving on, right? So I've taken third conflict rate. So you have improved conflict rate, third conflict rate, shorter conflict rate, which goes into Shadowburn here, which is fine. You'll use it a lot on mobs that are dying fast, free shard refunds. It's good for like sniping mobs, moving on. But keep in mind, conflict rate empowerments. So third conflict rate, shorter conflict rate, Conflagration of Chaos. Conflict rate and Shadowburn have a 50% chance to guarantee your next cast the ability to critically strike. So more conflict rates, faster conflict rates, higher conflict rate crit chance, going into Ruin. Increases the damage of conflict rate, CDF, Shadowburn, and Soulfire, which I'm not even playing, by 20%. So big conflict rate damage, short cooldowns, all the above, and going into Infernal, Crashing Chaos, and Grand Warlock's design for faster Infernals. And yeah, Flashpoint here giving you a haste amp on packs quickly. Now, the big thing here, going into a pack, you can just cast your Cataclysm right into a CDF, go into a Havoc, Cry Havoc Cleave, or, you know, Conflict Rate Cleave, Cry Havoc, whatever you want. Cleave Shadowburns if need be. This build should just completely munch packs. It should destroy and mass AoE. If you're in a group leveling setting, I can see this being a very solid build. Drop your Infernal, destroy everything, and move on with life. Now, once again, you can go into, like, let's say you just don't want Conflagration. You can go into, like, just this stuff here. No Shadowburn, no Conflagration, no Ruin, and go, like, all right, you know, Ashen Remains, 2 points there, 2 points here, and then go into, like, Ritual of Ruin instead over here. Maybe just grab Infernal only. It's incredibly customizable. I did not grab Rolling Havoc, didn't grab Fire and Brimstone here, no Scalding Flame, something like that. If you want to level with F&B, it's fine. You can do it to it, but I don't think it's worthwhile from a damage point of view. There's no shard gen attached to it, obviously. The points you get coming in later on are a bit interesting. So you can then maybe go into like things like eradication leading into diabolic embers and stuff like that. There really isn't a spot where it's like, okay, I'm missing 1 point somewhere. You can grab rolling havoc if you want, maybe go into backlash, up to you. But this build is similar to the Mythic Plus builds you played on stream, actually. Just big consistent cataclysm, CDF, havoc cleave with cry havoc. The build feels good for leveling. I'm not probably gonna play it, but if I was playing Destro, I'd be happy. I have so many options. In Flashpoint, Shorter Infernal, Crashing Chaos, Million Conflagrates, Conflagration of Chaos, Kata, CDF, Havoc Cleave. There's just so much to this build. Alright, so if you're looking for general items that can help you with speed leveling, experience boost, player power, all that, this is the part of the video for you. Right off the bat, I want to give a shout out to Treefee. I believe he has the fastest run on beta from 60 to 70, being about 3.5 hours. He has an incredible video that's more in-depth than this section about his entire leveling experience, items, tips, tricks, all the above. I'll put a link to it down below. I watched it a couple days ago. I actually forgot about these speed gems here. Saw it in his video, and here they are in mine. So shout out to him. It's awesome. Check it out if you want a more in-depth look at certain things. He has a few more items that I omitted from this video because they're hard to acquire, they're hard to farm up, low drop rates, like the Falling Star from Timeless Isles. If you want a more in-depth look, check that out. But all these items here are ones you can acquire from the auction house or very, very, very little grinding / gold. So getting into it off the bat, number one, it might seem pretty simple and basic. People forget about it a lot. Shadowlands consumables, flasks, potions, intellect potions, healing potions, armor kits, runes, and shadow core / weapon oil. Flasks are cheap now. Potions are dirt cheap. Armor kits are pretty cheap. The augment rune is permanent. If you don't have it, you can buy the little blue ones. They last an hour. I doubt we're dying a whole lot through leveling, especially as a warlock. So one stack's more than enough. And weapon oil. Now, I have seen some people go as far as macroing intellect potions or Angie strength ones into every ability, or some abilities, I guess, and basically popping them on cooldown every 5 minutes for like a larger Angie boost. That'll be a lot of potions. If you want to do that, go ahead. I don't believe Blizz broke it or anything. That's a lot of potions and a lot of gold for a very little gain. Because in the end, like, if you're not speed running, it really doesn't matter in the first place. But it's an option if you want to do that. Feel free. Besides that, get a weak ore to track potions, flasks, armor kits, runes, all the above. And there's your player power gainer part of it. Now, the other big thing here that I would highly recommend getting are the guild battle standards. The banner of cooperation, standard of unity, and the battle standard of coordination. They offer 15%, 10%, and 5% additional XP if you're killing mobs within 100 yards of the banner. Now, the little like experience zones for killing mobs in certain parts of different zones are also a part of Dragonflight, like they were in Shadowlands and previous expansions. Little like XP zones, all that kind of stuff. These are very effective there. They're effective just in general parts of the zone you're mass AoEing, right? There are weak ores for these. I'll try to find one and put it down below in the video description as well. So say, hey, this is off cooldown, put it on cooldown. Very simple, very effective, free experience, certainly worth getting. It's pretty cheap, I believe. All you need is friendly rep with the guild. Now, moving on to I guess suggested materials. You don't need them, but they help in the leveling experience. Number one off the bat, Goblin Gliders. Now, you get dragon riding very early on in Dragonlands, Dragonflight, good lord. But even with dragon riding being a thing, there are times you might just want to slam a glider for whatever reason, right? I've wanted these even at max level and I've had flying from time to time, right? And before you get dragon riding, there are a few points where these can be effective getting ahead of the pack, all the above. I grab a couple stacks, they're pretty cheap now, but all these items here, if they're purchasable from the auction house, they're gonna be more expensive when we get closer to leveling. So Goblin Gliders, a couple stacks, should be good to go. To a similar extent, Gun Shoes, once again, dragon riding, very early on, but until you get there, even at times, like when you're leveling, just running around the ground, Gun Shoes allow you to just AoE packs down. Pop them, run into a pack, multiple packs, gather them all up, drop the rock, pop CDs, whatever, blow it all up. Gun Shoes make that much faster, much more effective. Certainly worth grabbing now. They're about 60 gold right now. There'll be a lot more a couple of days before launch. So if you're seeing this video now, grab them now. To a similar extent, like drums, they last until 61, essentially. Like they don't work past 60, but if you're looking for optimization early on, probably worthwhile. Whether you have war mode on or not, especially in war mode, getting ahead of the pack is very important. So drums, gliders, gun shoes, all the above here, these things, every little incremental bit of advantage you can get, you want. And drums do indeed help with that. To a similar extent, you have light step hoof plates. Now, these are on actual mount equipment. It's sort of up to you if you want to use them or not. The current mount equipment that I have on is actually the comfortable rider's barding, the preventing you from being dazed kind of mechanic. Dragon riding is very early on for the 10th time. So, I mean, realistically, 20% more speed is actually sort of worthwhile. I grab one. They're really cheap right now as well. So it's sort of up to you, but get ahead of the pack before you get riding all the above. Now, bear tartare is now fried bonefish. I searched for bear tartare and then found out fried bonefish is actually apparently a better version of it. So if you want this, you kill a mob, you get a speed boost. Same thing as bear tartare for a long time. If you want stat food, I wouldn't fault you for it necessarily, but this does give a substantial speed boost. Once again, 2 stacks is probably more than enough. And the speed gems here. Now, there's more than just speed gems when it comes to this stuff. So you have the Straddling Sage Gate, I don't know how to even say that word, and Straddling Viridium here. 28 speed and 19 speed. They're unique, so you can have one of each, right? But if you go back to 9.2, maybe even 9.1, I can't remember, with crafted gear, there's the possibility to add speed to them. So you have your baseline stamina and minor speed increase in your cloak, like we always have here. My baseline speed is 100%. Cloak was on obviously 103. Now, you can make multiple pieces of gear. The 262 versions, they're unique, but the ones that are lower, the 233 versions, are not unique. So you can theoretically make these in smaller, like lesser eye level pieces for, you know, speed gain, whatever, what have you. It will decrease your overall eye level because it's 233 versus, you know, 304, 311, whatever you're at. But the speed can be very helpful early on. So for example, I put this on, I go from 103 to 109% speed. Put this on, I go from 109 to 116% speed. If I stock at some gems in here, let's throw these two in. Is there a gem in there? There is. So let's throw that one in there. We'll put this big one in my helm, because why not? Who cares? Let's do this. I go from 100% speed to 118% speed, and you can tell, even just running around, there's a speed increase here, right? If I end up popping Burning Rush as a Warlock, I am literally zooming. Like, I'm going to die if I jump here, but I'm at 178% movement speed with being Destride, essentially making us take very, very, very little damage from running around. I'm on the ground, run. Like, you're at 180% movement speed, and this is still missing potentially other speed pieces, like another ring. You can put it on your neck, maybe. We're just zooming. We're just zooming. No one's stopping us. So every little thing here and there might not seem like a big deal, but in the end, if you're trying to min-max, they all add up. They're all small incremental gains, but in the long run, if you're looking to min-max, have fun with it. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, those are the items I'd look for leveling. Now, very briefly, when it comes to gearing, there are a couple of things that are worth mentioning for early leveling. The big one is that if you're using an Entumbra as a caster, it stops working at level 61. So you can use it for the first level or so when you're leveling for the speed boost and burst proc, but it stops working at 61. And on top of that, it has no secondary stats in the first place. So you're going to want to have some kind of weapon to replace your Entumbra and or your offhand at a certain point. Now, thankfully, I have a staff from Mythic Sires and Athreus. I'd look for one. Maybe just like if you have it from Mythic Plus laying around, if you have some Valor laying around, upgrade it. If you deleted a staff or an item outside of Entumbra, you can go into your item restoration on the Blizzard website and try and look through it and find it. I had to restore the staff, for example, but Entumbra will not work past level 60, so keep that in mind. Besides that, gearing-wise, for the most part, it's just eye level. That's going to be mostly important. Tier doesn't work anymore. Legendaries don't work at all. And even if you have a lower eye level, it's not that big of an issue in the first place. I'm going to most likely play a trinket, like probably some passive trinket, maybe like Cabala's Hymnal, something that gets just like a passive stat increase, and maybe even this thing, Deteriorated Construct Core, a passive damage trinket. And if you want an unused trinket, something like Grenade is great. I wouldn't really use the Shattered Orb, it's too much damage being taken, but some kind of like passive just stat increase trinket, maybe a passive damage effect like this, and a 2-minute trinket if you're going to use it actually. If you're not going to slam it, just slam 2 passive trinkets. In the end, not that big of a deal either way. Even if you're like relatively geared, the first few levels really shouldn't be that bad. And around 76-ish, most of your gear is being replaced anyways. Oh, and I forgot to mention one final thing. For those that are wondering about stacking 25 quests in your quest log and turning them all in when launch comes to get a level ahead of everybody else, it looks like Blizzard probably took that into account because currently daily quests in Zereth Mortis are giving, I think, 1,000 experience. Patterns Within Patterns is giving 0 experience, none at all. The like random world quests in the zone are giving none also. If I fly down here to this quest, for example, being Mysterious Greenery, I assume it's giving 1,000 experience. as well. Even looking through my quest log for older quests, let me see, bring out your tithe, 1,000 experience. I assume this is going to be 1k or none here as well. It is 1,000, yeah. So I'll tell you right now, 60 to 61, you need 200,000 experience. I'm on beta right now at 60. It's not worth doing 25 quests, spending time turning in 25 quests for an eighth of your bar when everyone else is in the zone doing quests and getting 10 to 15k per turn in. If you liked that stuff before, unfortunately it's gone. If you hated stacking quests before expansions came out, awesome. Doesn't appear to work anymore. If that changes, I'll update the video comment section, but for the most part, you just hop into Dragonflight and you blast the zones and have a good time. There's no Shadowlands quest stacking or really anything like that. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. That about wraps it up. Hopefully it gave you all a better idea of how Warlock looks from each spec's perspective for leveling, heading into Dragonflight, which from the day of filming is about 7 days from now. I am going to be leveling Affliction. I'm probably going to be in a group setting with the guild, but either way, being able to tag a bunch of mobs, just dot run, and they all just die. You can heal yourself infinitely with ID and have Fiendish Stride, Burning Rush on the whole time. Seems pretty solid. At the same time, Demo, just passive pet cleave, hit a mob, just run around, then your pets destroy them. Even Destro in a group setting, even single target, solo leveling, right? Just pull a bunch of mobs, drop the rock, ran a fire, move on. All Warlock builds are very customizable and pretty good at leveling depending what you're doing. But like I said, in the end, the fastest speed run so far on beta has been like 3.5 hours. I think might even be less than that at this point. I expect the average player to take 5, 6, 7-ish hours. I'm not going for any world first stuff. We're just chilling and guild leveling, hopefully as fast as we can, but not like in any kind of speed rush setting. Because honestly, once you hit max level, there's no, squeeze in 8 dungeons before reset like that. We're just sort of chilling, which is good, which is cool. Maybe a little couple alts along the way, and yeah, see where it goes. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If I missed any builds or anything you guys want to talk about, put it down in the comment section below, and I will be sure to get back to you. Once again, any weak arts, add-ons, or profiles you saw, all for free on my Twitch and my Discord. Links to both down below. !WA in Twitch chat or in the Discord will pull it up for you, both the Payspin and the Wago. And yeah, that should about wrap it up. And if you aren't a Warlock, thanks for watching. Hopefully the tips and tricks section was interesting and maybe helped you out a little bit as well. And yeah, so I will, shameless plug, be streaming leveling and all that on my Twitch, link down below if you guys want to swing by for that as well. I should have drops. Also, the Feldrake drops the moment Feldrake drops begin, the moment the expansion launches actually, which is pretty cool. So yeah, quick shameless plug. So I want to give one huge shout out again to my patrons who are in the video, guys. Thank you a million times again for all support on Patreon, 10,000 times. Really, truly appreciate it. Thank you. If you guys are looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here as well as down below in the video description. Thanks for watching, guys. With all that being said, if you like the video, hit the like and sub buttons. Helps out a ton. And I will catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.